Hey everyone, happy Friday. I have your video update for this week, so we're going to jump right in. I wanted to remind everybody that we are having our senior pet talk on Saturday. It starts at 10 a.m. and it's open to the public. Dr. Mark and Dr. Dusty have done a great job getting us organized, and they've got a lot of amazing tips to share with pet owners, not only on disease processes, but quality of life, nutrition, how to make these pets really comfortable in their senior age and prolong their life. If you are not comfortable in having this type of discussion with owners, or if you're not working it into your daily routine of making these recommendations for pets, maybe you should attend this seminar as well. We are going to offer it again on Saturday at 10 a.m. It's open to the public. I would love for team members to be there too. It's raining. There's nothing else to do. You should come. But if you can't make it, we're also going to try and offer it for the team as a CE certification one evening coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. That'll be in the month of April. We just haven't arranged an exact date of when yet. Also coming up that I want you to mark your calendars for, we are co-hosting the Mom and Me Kid Fest in downtown Lafayette. That's going to be next Saturday, April 21st. It starts at 9 a.m. There's a sign up in the break room. We're organizing an activity for kids to do that day. It's kind of an interactive type thing for parents and children to come and have a day about family bonding. It's similar to Family Adventure Day, except for all the businesses are in one location, Park Sans Souci downtown, so it should be a lot of fun. We need volunteers to make this kind of thing go. We have 2 volunteers that'd be most comfortable with having like 4 to 6. So if you're available and you can come and help, it's not an all-day thing like Family Adventure Day. It's just the morning hours, ends at noon. We'd love to have your help and know that you could make a huge impact on our community by volunteering. All right, so on to some business things. We have some new codes that we wanted to go over. One is the BVS code. That is our Buprenex dispensing syringes. And how this works is you're going to enter the quantity as the number of syringes that you're going to give out. There will be an inventory window where you'll enter the total amount that you dispensed. That's similar also to another code that we've had for a while that we've really updated. That's the MODI code for Medicam. It's labeled for 3-day dispensing, so it's assuming that you're going to max out at dispensing 3 days worth or 3 syringes worth of Medicam. And again, you're going to put the total quantity, the volume of Medicam amongst the 3 syringes in that inventory window. And that one's priced at $17.62 for the Medicam. So just make sure that you're using those codes correctly and you know those are available to you. The doctors are well aware and would direct you on when it's appropriate to use those versus dispensing an in-house injection or an entire bottle of Medicam. So just be aware. Also, anytime that we have little situations like that where it's not a straight vial or bottle of medication that's being dispensed, I wanted to remind you that a lot of times you can double click on the treatment from the treatment window. And that's going to open up a comment section where there'll be instructions on how those codes are intended to be used, so that if you forget over time or you just need a tune-up or your training, you can see exactly how those are intended to be used and any details on how to dispense and charge for those correctly. So I love the treatment code comment section. We have a lot of those comments for labs and things too, with lab instructions, shipping instructions, and so on. That brings me right to my next point that I wanted to make, was about outside labs. So Danielle took the time to go in and update all of our outside labs because for whatever reason it had gotten away from us. We were back to handwriting requisition forms. And at our practice, we don't really handwrite too much. Most of what we can automate, we do. Requisition forms are no different from this. So if you're sending a sample out to an outside lab like Antech or IDEXX or many of the others, those requisition forms should be automated in most cases, with the exception of maybe one. So what'll happen is you enter your test code, and then immediately a prompt should come up to ask you if you want to print the requisition code. And it's going to merge all that great information that you would have otherwise been handwriting and take a 10-minute project to a 10-second project. So thanks, Danielle, for doing that. Just know that it's really important to make sure that if we're adding codes that we go ahead and add that requisition form, which is why we don't ask really anybody other than our management team, including Danielle, to enter those lab tests. It's just one of those things that we make sure that we do a really good job at so that we can be the most efficient. The next thing that I wanted to remind everybody is how we handle job shadows and interns and things like that. This week alone, we'd had multiple messages left for many different people on how we should handle those. And it just created a little bit of a fuss in trying to organize it and be the most efficient as we can as a whole team. So we get phone calls a lot of times for job shadows, students, interns, parents who maybe want their kids to come and experience what being a veterinarian is like. You know the call. Maybe you just don't know what to do with it. So we have appointed Danielle to managing all those. She just knows the schedule the best. She knows that what we can take on at any given time, and she's one point person to coordinate many efforts that we do there. We have limited space. You all know that. And so it really, really takes prioritizing who to put where, who's going to get the most out of our time with them, and what we can do for a student while they're here. So send those messages to Danielle. She's going to love this. Send them all to Danielle. She'll help to coordinate who can come and when and give everybody the best experience. The only exception to that would be for veterinary students who are interns or preceptors, and they usually know exactly what to do and who to contact, but you would make sure that whoever they're requesting that they get to talk to those. And again, most of those are going to be like LSU vet school students. The next thing that I wanted to go over is a biggie. We are struggling a little bit in how we handle our surgery drop-offs after hours. So these would be pets who are maybe scheduled for a day procedure and they want to drop off the night before. It seems like all we're really doing is taking them in, and it's a mix match from there of what's actually happening out of what needs to happen. So I'm going to go over what needs to happen. If a pet comes in after hours to admit for surgery for the next day, the customer care team needs to complete the check-in process from Avamark calendar, just to make sure that we know that that pet's here. Then they need to call a nurse to come and bring the client into an exam room, just like we do in the morning time, go over consent forms and get the appropriate signatures, go over estimates and make sure that the owner agrees to everything that we're doing and signs it. The nurse also needs to review the history questions that are in the appointment notes so that we can get an idea of exactly what the pet's history is and again confirm exactly what we need to do. So answering all those questions that are in there and then completing the medical condition as well. Then that nurse needs to make sure that that pet is secured in the appropriate kennel space with the appropriate cage card, and finally needs to add any treatments that that pet's going to need prior to surgery to the whiteboard. Now, treatments don't only have to be medications that the pet may come in with or may need before surgery, but also their basic routine care like feeding, walking, watering. So you can imagine if we're bringing this up that this has not been consistently happening and that some of these core things have not been happening for these pets, like feeding, walking, and watering. So as a team, we have to do better. We have to know the exact system. This doesn't mean that one person can't get help. It just means that the one person who's completed the consent forms and checked in the client needs to ensure that the rest has happened. So that nurse who meets with the client in the exam room needs to ensure that the rest of the processes has happened before moving on, because, you know, we always say we create the wow one pet at a time. We're kind of failing in this area, so I know we can do better and we can focus on one pet at a time to make sure they're ready for surgery. Ultimately, after the pet's tucked in, everything's entered on whiteboard, the very last task that you'll do is compose the clipboard for surgery and put it in that area. That would be the anesthetic forms that the customer care team member is going to give the nurse, and any check-in documents that are signed that would go all in the clipboard and go in that waiting area. For the incoming nursing team that comes in the morning of the procedure day, it's a breeze for you at that point because you'll just pick that clipboard up out of that waiting area, ensure everything that you need is done, and then you can begin calculating your drugs and moving forward with your procedures, just as if the client had completed check-in. Anywhere in there, you can organize how to do blood work and communicate those just as you would traditionally. We got to make sure that we do a better job with this. So I'm expecting you to really review this and check back in. I'm also going to write out these steps in the training so that there's no question on exactly what we need done there. The last thing that I'll go over for today is we have ultimately updated our accountability chart, and I'm really excited to put that out there. Melinda is now no longer here. She is helping in the resort area just to get several of our new team members up to speed and ready for the summertime. So we are operating on our new accountability chart that does not include her in the operations position anymore. So for operational needs, or these are those processes needs, problems that happen within workflow or special circumstances within your department, you'll bring those to our operations managers, who are Danielle for the hospital, Drew for the resort, and Charlie for the customer care team. In Charlie's absence for her maternity leave, again, Jamie will be serving there. So if you have any issues, if you have any questions, if you need clarity on anything, these are your point people, and they're best communicated with by work list message or directly in person. You can also check in with your assistant managers, who you know who those are. We've recently additionally called up Dana, Jamie, and Rachel Aloya to those positions. So those will be point people who will be checking in with you. And you could maybe save your non-immediate issues for your check-ins to get the clarity that you need. Ultimately, what happens is they grab up any issues, anything that needs global clarity, brings forward to this type of weekly update. So that's how we'll continue to handle things. Not too different, just more precise for your department. If you have any questions, I'm also happy to talk to you about any of that. I'm going to put that updated accountability chart out in Slack. We'll post it in paper form in the break room and all the places that you would need to get the quickest access to reach it, so that you can actually look at the chart and determine the right person to go to with particular issues. The last thing that I actually didn't describe in that would be IT issues. What happens when something breaks or when something's not quite working? A lot of times those are pretty urgent, so your tendency is to just come right in the business office and grab the right person. And that's not wrong, but particularly Beryl will be our first line of defense because she's here the majority of the time for those types of things. If it's a hospital equipment issue, you can start with Beryl, but ultimately Drew Jensen is going to take over handling those things. Again, all these questions and more could be answered from looking at the accountability chart. I just wanted to give you an idea of who you're going to be seeing the names in those spots for. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed the update. Really excited for this weekend, not only for the Senior Pets Talk, but also for our crawfish boil. So we hope to see you there.